Rats! They're small, they're vicious, and they've infested Warthunder. So 4 months ago, I sorted them into a tier list. At the end of the video, I post a simple, open-ended question. Now, this is where you come in. Leave a comment telling me your favorite rat that was or wasn't on this list. If I get enough, then maybe, just maybe, I'll make a part 2. And oh boy, did I get enough. I received no less than 1,000 comments. So naturally, I sat on my butt for 3 months and ignored them. Until now. After sifting through the pile, I found some are good, some are bad, and some are
Suddenly hordes of rats burst asunder from the realm of the rats and began to dance demonically. I was surprised and frightened.
But before I start my psychotic ramblings, let me clarify some things. When I say rat, I'm not referring to any kind of rodent. I'm instead talking about these. As a rule of thumb, if it's small, fast, well-armed, and incredibly annoying, it's probably a rat. The best can single-handedly ruin the enemy team's enjoyment of the game just by being around, much like me at any kind of social event. Also, in case you missed the first episode, I covered the following vehicles. Much like in the previous video, this installment will cover the newcomers from worst to best. With that out of the way, it is time to rat again. Starting us off, this is the Russian ASU-57, which is quite possibly the most overhyped garbage pile of vehicle I have ever used. I had swaths of people tell me about how good it was, so naturally I was pretty excited to try it, but it left me incredibly disappointed. Its 57mm cannon hits about as hard as a toddler, and it has the top speed of a only with less armor. It's also so low to the ground that most of the stuff it goes against can literally shoot into the crew compartment from above. I've had kidney stones that were more fun to experience in this tank. D tier. And speaking of cobbled together Russian vehicles, we have the ZIS-30, which is essentially a weaponized tractor. It's okay. It's got the same gun as the ASU-57, but instead of BR where most of the tanks it faces have about the same structural integrity as a Lego set, so it can actually do a fair amount of damage. It's decently compact, though weirdly proportioned. Other than that, it's just kinda mid. To summarize, it's a mediocre weaponized tractor. C tier. Next up, we technically have several tanks, but since they're all basically the same, I'm lumping them together into one big greasy pile. I'm of course referring to the Russian BT-5s and BT-7s. All of these tanks are stupidly fast, have okay armor, and a pretty solid 45mm cannon. Their speed comes from their 400 horsepower engine, which is fueled by hatred, vodka, and Swedish devotion to Stal. My only issues are the fact that all these vehicles are kinda big and they're just plain boring to use, so I'm putting them all in C tier. That is, all but one. See, you may have noticed that I omitted one member of the BT-5 family, the RBT-5. Now personally, I don't own this tank, so I don't really feel qualified to talk about it, but I know someone who does.
The RBT-5. Who else to talk about it but me? So, why does the RBT-5 make such a good rat tank? Well, let me give you the rundown. Look at the back. Look at that engine. The raw power a BT-5 produces is, for the most part, able to run circles around most tanks. Over here, see that? The 45mm gun it has is arguably the best reserve tank gun in the game. So, it does feel a little unfair to use at reserve tier, but we'll ignore that. And, obviously, how could I forget these giant rockets on the side of it? If my memory serves me correctly, this is the largest unguided rocket by caliber in the game, all at 1.3. If there is a rat tank that can top this, please, let me know. I would definitely give this an S tier.
Getting back on track, this is the Swedish SPJ FM43, or as I like to call it, the fuck everything in that general directioninator. Mainly because it packs a 150mm recoilless rifle as its primary armament, at BR 1.7. Pretty self-explanatory. The downsides are that its reload is remarkably shitty, it's slow, and it's also pretty big, but that's cancelled out by its armor, which can stop damn near any shell that hits it, but only from the front, because the back door is wide open, just like your dad's. So don't let anything sneak up on you, lest your IKEA monkeys get turned to paint. To summarize, big boom. Very funny. B tier. Next up is the M8 Lac, the Greyhound. Think of it as an M22, but worse in pretty much every way. It's a good bit girthier, it's slower, and you can poke holes in its armor with a sharp stick. So why isn't it F tier? One word: my deuce. It has a roof-mounted 50 cal, which means it can chew through the armor of pretty much anything at BR 1.0. Using it kinda feels like you're beating up toddlers. Don't even bother with the 37mm cannon, just use the machine gun, it's really that good. To summarize, mid-vehicle. However, my deuce.
Stop! No!
B tier. Now, we have somewhat of a redemption story. As you, Jeffrey, likely remember from the last episode, I'm not a big fan of the Italian AB-41. It's basically a sad, soggy, obese knockoff of a Puma. So when I was told to try out the AB-43, my expectations were about as low as my standards in women. However, I was pleasantly surprised by this vehicle's performance. While it maintains the obese stature of its inbred cousin, the AB-43 has improved itself in a variety of ways. Its engine has been upgraded quite a bit, so its top speed is higher, and its acceleration is a lot better. It also traded its shitty 20mm spaghetti slinger for a 47mm cannon, which is pretty good at BR 2.7. My only problems are its size, its kinda slow turret traverse speed, and its weak armor. To summarize, it's a less sad, less soggy, but just as obese knockoff of a Puma. A tier. Moving on, this is the ZUT-37. It's a lightly armored anti-aircraft vehicle equipped with a fully automatic 37mm cannon loaded with 5-round magazines. As usual, we will not be using it against aircraft. This vehicle is very fun to use, relatively small and decently fast. However, the real standout feature is its gun. It's essentially a fully automatic M22 cannon at BR 2.3, so when you load it with armor-piercing rounds, it absolutely shreds. Until it doesn't. My only issue with the ZUT-37, this gun is about as inconsistent as my upload schedule. Most of the time it does pretty well, but occasionally it feels like I'm using the AB-41 again. A tier. Gentlemen, we have once again reached the peak of the rat pile. The following vehicles are not only fun to use, but also truly embody what it means to be a rat. Each of these carefully vetted abominations can suck every last drop of fun out of your enemy's games with minimal effort. This is the American T-114. It's very small and very, very deadly. It's equipped with a magazine-fed 106mm recoilless rifle, which is incredibly effective at turning anything tank-shaped into a hashtag. There are two reasons. First, it's at BR 7.7, so it's mainly going up against tanks with rolled homogeneous armor, which happens to be incredibly susceptible to shaped charges. Secondly, it has an autoloader that can spit out 4 shells in about 4 seconds. This combined with its small size and decent speed means that under the right circumstances, you can wipe a third of a team faster than you can call me a Mart clone. The only issue is that this thing's more prone to sudden explosions than the blood vessels in my brain when I try and play top tier. To summarize, it's a really compact heat slinger. S tier. Finally, at the top of this list sits the American M56, which is essentially a ZIS-30 on a combination of anabolic steroids, growth hormones, and crystal meth. Its armament is frankly absurd and features a semi-fixed, high-velocity 90mm cannon, which at 6.7 is able to punch through the front armor of almost anything. but you don't really need to worry about frontal armor. Since you're so fast, you can usually zoom over to a flank before the enemy team's even a fourth of the way across the map. Now you may have noticed the M56's crew sitting out in the open, right on top of the vehicle, primed to get the full JFK experience. Because of this, you need to become very familiar with the idea of shooting and scooting. So to summarize, 90mm meth tractor. Very good. S tier. Well, that's it for this episode. If you have a rat you think I should cover, then comment it down below, and if I get enough, maybe I'll make a part 3. Just kidding, I know that half of you are already sending me new candidates in the comments section before you even finish the video, and that I'll probably be doing this for the next couple of years. Heck, maybe I'm already dead and in hell and this is what I'm going to be doing forever. Either way, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. I'm trying to partner with the snails so that in the future I can spend less time grinding for vehicles and more time making sure my videos come out in a timely manner. My videos will never come out in a timely manner. Also, join my Discord, and if you really like my content, consider becoming a member. Okay, goodbye!